The year, somewhere between 600 and 700 in the Common Era. The location, the home of a wealthy family in Persia, which today we know as the Middle Eastern country of Iran.
Yoo-hoo! Chef? Where is my chef?
This is believed to be the birthplace of one of the world's most sought-after snacks.
Hello, chef! I need more cakes!
It's also a time when sugar was just starting to be used everywhere in the Persian Empire, so sugar rushes were definitely a thing.
Whee!
You called for me, ma'am.
Yes, I want to eat more cakes. They make me so happy and energetic.
Like I said, sugar was a new thing.
Yes, my lady. I will make you more cakes.
Wait, the first cake you made me was undercooked. And the second was overcooked. You need to get this cake just right, or you're fired.
Oh, I will do my best.
And use lots of sugar. It really gives me so much energy. I feel like I could do anything. Yeah, I just need a quick nap first.
I probably don't need to tell you, Smarty Pants, but a sugar rush is pretty much always followed by a sugar crash. In the meantime, our poor chef here needed to bake the perfect cake. The problem was,
in the 7th century, it is hard to tell if the oven is set to the right temperature to bake a cake.
it's not like they had a fancy stove where you could set the temperature and an alarm to beep when the cake was ready.
Yeah, right. Like that's ever going to happen.
It does happen, but not until the 1800s. Instead, this clever chef came up with a different plan.
What if, instead of a full cake, I took a few small globs of cake batter and put them into the oven? Once they're fully cooked, I'll know the oven is the right temperature to bake a full cake. It's brilliant.
It was brilliant. From then on, bakers in Persia cooked little globs of flour, sugar, and fat as a test for when to bake their cakes. However, those little globs were also quite tasty.
Yum. I can't stop eating these little cake globs.
And that's how these clever chefs from Persia accidentally created the earliest versions of the wonderful, mouth-watering, guilty pleasure enjoyed by people of all cultures and nationalities, what we know as cookies. But how did cookies become a global phenomenon? Where did all the flavors and varieties of cookies come from? And why are they called cookies in the first place? It's time for a whiff of delicious homemade science on
Who smarted? Who's smarted? Who's smart? Is it you? Is it me? Is it science or history? Listen up, everyone. We make smarting lots of fun on Who Smarted.
They may have started out as a way to test ovens for baking cakes, but today, cookies are a massive worldwide treat with billions eaten every year. So, how do you think the word spread about this tasty treat? There were actually two main factors: kids and war. After the Persians started baking cookies, the bakers gave the little bits to children who discovered just how tasty they were.
Yummy!
And you know, if kids like it, it's gonna catch on. At the same time, Middle Eastern nations like Persia were starting to explore and conquer other countries. And in the year 711, not long after the cookie was invented, Middle Eastern forces arrived in Europe, invading and conquering the region that is now known as Spain. While the Europeans did not like seeing outsiders take over their lands, they did enjoy the treats the Middle Easterners brought with them.
Delicious!
Middle Eastern cooking recipes soon spread to other parts of Europe, including France and Italy. In the 1500s, Renaissance cookbooks of Italy had lots of cookie recipes. One Italian cookie that was light and crunchy on the outside and soft inside was brought to France during that time, and the French chefs found a way to perfect it.
A good feeling in this treat. C'est magnifique.
Oui. I love it. What do you call this?
It's called les macarons.
Macarons, filled with a mixture of chocolate and cream, known as ganache, would become the most popular treats in Paris. Notice they were not called cookies. In fact, the earliest cookies were not called cookies at all.
Huh?
Over the years, cookies have gone by a variety of names such as jumbles, biscuits, galletas, and plunkets. Some cultures still use those words to describe cookies today. So where did the word cookie come from?
Because you could cook it?
Good guess, but no. The word cookie has its roots in a Dutch word that means small or little cake. When Dutch and other European immigrants came to the United States in the 1600s, they brought their cookie recipes with them. And a few centuries later, the United States has become home to the largest number of cookie eaters.
Yum, 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 yum.
America is also the site of a genuine cookie miracle. In 1937, Ruth Graves Wakefield was the owner of a very popular restaurant in Whitman, Massachusetts. The name of the restaurant was the Toll House. One day, with the help of her pastry chef, Sue Brides, Ruth came up with something legendary. The scene might have happened a little bit like this.
Hey, Sue, I'm expecting a big crowd tonight. Make sure you bake a lot of chocolate cookies with nuts.
Slight problem, Ruth. I'm out of baker's chocolate for the batter, and I'm out of nuts.
We better come up with something.
I got it. 2 words. Lobster cookies.
No. Where do you keep the ice pick?
Ice pick? What, are you gonna make ice cookies?
There's a big block of semi-sweet chocolate. What if we broke that up and used it for the cookies?
I don't think it's gonna work. Semi-sweet chocolate doesn't melt like baker's chocolate. It won't make good batter.
I don't want chocolate batter. I want...
All right, smarty pants. What do you think Ruth wanted to make using an ice pick to chop up a big block of chocolate? Did you say...
I want to make chocolate chips.
Chocolate chips. Wow, that's a wicked good idea. Much better than lobster.
And with her ice pick and semi-sweet chocolate, Ruth Wakefield created the very first chocolate chip cookie. Also known as the Toll House cookie, named after her restaurant. The story has become legend, with many claiming Wakefield came up with the cookie after running out of nuts or baker's chocolate. But Wakefield was a successful business owner and a perfectionist, and historians say it's unlikely she would have run out of those things. She apparently had thought up the recipe during an earlier vacation.
That's brilliant.
It was brilliant. But it's one thing to have a popular cookie at a local restaurant, and it's another to create the most popular cookie flavor of all time. Shortly after its invention, the Toll House cookie became known far and wide after it was mentioned on a radio show hosted by a food expert who was famous for their dessert expertise. Who do you think it was? Was it A, Famous Amos, B, Miss Fields, or C, Betty Crocker? Well, Famous Amos and Miss Fields definitely became famous for selling cookies, but it was cake-in-a-box dessert queen Betty Crocker who turned the chocolate chip cookie into a worldwide phenomenon.
There's something new and exciting in the Betty Crocker kitchens. And here's Betty Crocker herself.
Soon after the radio show, chocolate maker Nestle started printing Wakefield's recipe on packages of its semi-sweet chocolate bars. Now everyone could make chocolate chip cookies, which is easily among the most favorite cookies of all time.
How about a chocolate chip?
However, the top-selling cookie in the world is not the chocolate chip. Can you guess what it is? Chances are you've eaten one, maybe even today. Want to know what it is? Stick around. Now back to Who Smarted. I gotta admit, all this talk about cookies has my stomach growling. We've covered the earliest cookies, and one of the most popular ones, the chocolate chip. But, like I said, the chocolate chip cookie is not the top-selling cookie in the world. Do you have any ideas what it could be? I'll give you some hints. See if you can figure it out. Ready? It's made with chocolate, but it has a creamy filling and looks kind of like a cookie sandwich. Have you figured it out? Why, of course, it's the Oreo cookie. Approximately 34 billion Oreo cookies are sold each year. 34 billion.
That's a lot of cake globs.
While Oreo's sales are huge, the cookie itself is rather small, especially when compared to the largest cookie ever created. According to Guinness World Records, the largest cookie ever made was 101 feet wide. That's larger than a full-sized NBA basketball court.
Whoa.
And it weighed more than 40,000 pounds. What kind of cookie was it? Why, it was a giant chocolate chip cookie, of course.
Wicked good idea.
But if you think that's something, wait till you hear about some cookies that were truly out of this world. In December 2019, astronauts on board the International Space Station baked food in space for the very first time. The food they chose? A batch of 5 chocolate chip cookies. The astronauts used a special zero-gravity oven to cook the treat, and they soon discovered it takes a lot longer to bake in space. While cookies on Earth are done after about 20 minutes in the oven, the ones in space needed about 2 hours. Once the astronauts discovered that, the final 3 cookies they made came out looking great. But the first 2, which spent less time in the oven, were undercooked.
It happens to the best of us.
Chef, I need more little cake globs.
Coming. Talk about a real-life cookie monster.
Yum, 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 yum.
This episode was written by Dave Beaudry and voiced by Charlotte Cohn, Jason Williams, Sheffield Chastain, Jenna Hoban, and Jerry Colbert. Technical direction and sound design by Josh Hahn. Who Smarted is recorded and mixed at the Relic Room Studios. Our associate producer is Max Sugar Cookie Kamaski. The theme song is by Brian Suarez. Lyrics written and performed by Adam Tex Davis. Who Smarted was created and produced by Adam Tex Davis and Jerry Colbert. This is an Atomic Entertainment production.